Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, the channel that never stops digging for the raw confessions and the unseen backstage moments of your favorite Turkish stars. Before we dive into the interview that everyone is replaying and debating, tap subscribe, hit like, and consider pressing the join button to support us. What looked like a predictable press event meant to promote the stage turned, in a heartbeat, into something no one in the room was prepared for. At first, it was routine. Barış Arduç stood at the podium, sleeves rolled neatly, the relaxed posture of a man who knows how to navigate a room full of cameras. He smiled, thanked the crew, spoke about the craft of performing live, about scripts he had passed on and roles that might challenge him next. The questions were gentle, then bolder, then back to polite. And then a reporter softly said a name that even his calm couldn't camouflage. When the name Elçin Sangu drifted into the air, something in him paused. A flicker in his eyes. A breath he almost held. A faint, half-resigned smile that didn't quite make it to both corners of his mouth. What came next is what many in that room insist they heard, recorded, rewound, and shared. He lowered his gaze, took a measured beat, and let a sentence fall that shook the space and then rippled far beyond it. He said, "I still love her." Elçin. There was no applause, no follow-up laughter, no PR joke to clean the spill. For a few seconds, there was only the hum of microphones and the awareness that something intimate had just grazed the surface in a very public place. Silence turned into heat within minutes. Phones buzzed, notifications stacked, and a handheld clip of that moment began circling the timeline like a comet, burning brighter with every repost. People slowed the video to study his mouth and the slight bend of his shoulders. They argued over whether his voice cracked and if the pause before the final word was the tell. Some called it brave and starkly honest, the kind of sentence few dare to say with a camera trained on them. Others said it was a risky admission, badly timed in the middle of a theater promo cycle, something better left to private rooms instead of the echo chamber of the internet. To measure the weight of this moment, you have to rewind to where their story first started humming. Barış and Elçin met on the set of a series that altered both of their careers, that sudden wave of attention people call lightning in a bottle. Their scenes together took on a life that shifted from script to subtext, blurring into the kind of chemistry that viewers instinctively recognize and claim for themselves. From there it was interviews where they shared warm glances, wrap party photos where their laughter looked unguarded, and magazine spreads where the space between them seemed charged. The rumors came like clockwork. Were they or weren't they? Neither ever turned rumor into declaration. The closest anyone got were moments, glances, the comfortable shorthand two people develop without meaning to. Then came the switchbacks of their careers, new sets, new schedules, new cities, each project tugging on their time in different directions. The distance wasn't abrupt, it threaded itself into calendars and decisions, until public appearances together became rare and finally absent. Their names, once spoken in tandem, returned to being spoken separately. Interviews were polite and vague when asked. The quiet felt decided, and the narrative settled into an ending that everyone agreed not to spell out. Which is why this single sentence, those few words murmured into a microphone, felt like a match thrown back into a room everyone had carefully closed. His remark echoed in oscillating ways across the industry. PR team squared shoulders. Friends texted friends. People who once worked on that set remembered small anecdotes, suddenly heavy with the glow of hindsight. And while debates raged, all eyes pivoted to the other name in the room, waiting for a sign from her side. Elçin Sangu did not talk. She posted. Hours after the clip lit up the timelines, a black and white photo appeared on her feed, an empty shoreline, soft foam at the feet of a lone wave, the horizon dissolving into gray. Beneath it, she wrote, "Some truths find their way unseen." No tags, no explanation, no accompanying story. The image felt quiet, but the silence around it rang loud. In the absence of her voice, the words overturned more questions than answers. Was it acknowledgement, refusal, respect, or simply a line from a notebook she keeps for herself? People close to her whispered that she received the moment with sincere surprise and a private kind of respect. They said she watched the clip once and then again, and that when friends called, she listened more than she spoke. Meanwhile, the engines of the entertainment world began to hum. Behind closed doors, producers talked in the language of possibilities and scheduling windows. Numbers were floated. Pitches were drafted on whiteboards. Streaming platforms glanced at data models that favored nostalgia when braided with unresolved affection. One marketing strategist, when asked off the record, grinned and said what many were already thinking: "This is the stuff sagas are made of, love that doesn't quite fade, the silence that simmers instead of empties, and a single public line that turns a quiet past into a loud maybe." Fans split along familiar lines. There were those who declared his words the kind of clarity that leaves no room for cynicism, praising him as someone courageous enough to speak from the chest even when it complicates everything else. They stitched together montages of their older scenes, rewatching moments now tinted with fresh possibility. On the other side were the realists, measured and protective, reminding everyone that feelings do not always align with circumstance. They spoke about growth, private lives, choices made with care, and the reality that affection remembered does not always equal a script for reunion. Many simply hoped both would be at peace, whether that meant standing side by side on a new set or nodding to one another from separate paths that happened to cross only in the public imagination. Forums became excavation sites. People pulled up interviews from years ago, translating intonations into meaning, lining up photos side by side as if they might yield a code. A single coffee cup in the frame of an old live stream became a bulletin board thread. A shared joke on a press day was suddenly evidence, or maybe just friendship misconstrued. Associates who had worked with them told small, fond stories: how they respected crew call times, how they ran lines to get an extra beat right, how they asked for another take when the pause didn't land quite right. In this retelling, everything was significant, even the things that never were. Amid all of this, perhaps recognizing the whirlwind he had stirred, Barış posted a brief message that read like a hand extended to calm the tide. He wrote, "Sometimes feelings show up before you invite them. I honor the past and wish the best for everyone who has been part of my journey." It wasn't a retraction, but it curved the edges of the earlier sentence, reshaping it into something more reflective, less combustible. The internet did not slow, not really, but the tone shifted. The line moved from breaking news to the kind of sentence that nests in memory, revisited in quiet moments when people ask themselves what happens to feelings that never found a place to settle. So what does this moment mean? Is it a slip, a confession that leapt the fence of caution? Is it a strand of nostalgia, a gentle nod to something once beautiful? Or is it a door cracked open, however slightly, toward a yet unwritten chapter? Those who hope for a reunion say the electricity between them never entirely dimmed. Those who prefer realism say that longing is not the same as a plan, and that public words do not always map onto private choices. Industry whispers are already drafting what the future could look like if the stars, schedules, and stories aligned. Imagine a set where they meet again across a table in a scene that knows more than it says. Imagine the first read-through, the script pages trembling a little not because of fear, but because of weight. Imagine a director calling for a pause to hold a look one heartbeat longer. It is a fantasy until it isn't, and it is a fantasy that production companies know how to package when the timing is right. For now, the only facts anyone can claim are these. He sat at a podium, heard her name, and a sentence changed the temperature of the room. She posted a quiet picture with a line that invited interpretation but refused to be pinned down. Everything else exists between what is said and what is felt, between what is public and what remains stubbornly private. And perhaps that is the haunting power of the moment. It lets people project themselves into the spaces they will never truly enter, imagining what two people may or may not say when the microphones are off and the lights have cooled. Tell us what you believe this moment will become. Would you want to see Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu share the screen again, to test whether the old spark merely glowed or still burns? And if life were kinder and simpler, would you wish them to find each other not just under scripted marks and choreographed pauses, but somewhere off-set, in scenes no one else will ever direct? Leave your thoughts below, and let us know which other stars you want us to feature in our upcoming videos. Thank you for watching Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Remember to like, subscribe, and, if you want to support deeper dives and exclusive extras crafted for you, click the join button. We'll be back soon, ready to bring you the next revelation from the shimmering heart of Turkey's entertainment world, where a single sentence can turn a quiet afternoon into a story everyone feels they lived through.